This is a family show.
Wow.
I've been reading Common Sense by Thomas Paine. I've got national elections on the brain. You want a revolution, I want a revelation. So how you gonna change the nation? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And when you vote for president, you get to pick who participates in the sequel. Work, vote, vote, America. Vote, vote, the time is now. Vote, vote, decide who wins this. Vote.
Madam too.
Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. Today's guest, Sharrone. Oh my goodness. Dimomique Johnson, and of course, Graham Weatherspoon.
I'm great.
A rough start here. But as you see, we want you to go out and vote November 8th. And the choices are a clown and a what would you call Hillary? A savior. Oh, clown and savior. That's your choices. But what we're going to do, since we have Sharrone here today, we're going to introduce you to the Central Park Five, her son, Yusef, Salaam, and his criticism of Donald Trump. So we play the Donald Trump theme, and we'll be right back at you.
Better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it.
The vicious rape and beating of a 30-year-old investment banker, Tricia Miley, who was jogging in Central Park last night. 5 youths are in custody and are being questioned. The youngest is only 13.
Trump put his money where his mouth is by taking out this full-page ad in 4 New York City newspapers. Bring back the death penalty.
When I first saw this ad that Donald Trump made, I knew that this famous person calling for us to die was very serious.
5 teens between the ages of 15 and 17 were charged with numerous rape, sodomy, and assault counts.
In 1989, myself and 4 other individuals were arrested and falsely accused of raping the Central Park jogger in a case that became widely known as the Central Park jogger case. We became known as the Central Park Five. In 2002, we would finally be innocent after the real perpetrator came forward, and that was confirmed by DNA evidence.
All of the defendants gave videotaped statements to police implicating themselves or others, but some of their attorneys charged today that police obtained the confessions by force.
People wanted to see how the justice system would work, and so they were looking at this case as a litmus test to see whether the justice system would actually be just or not. And it became very clear that there was this huge black and white kind of thing. These black and brown individuals had raped a white woman in Central Park. That was the worst thing that anyone could have ever done.
What are you afraid of for our city?
This racism, I'm hoping doesn't break out into another racism thing like back in the 60s.
There are other worse things that are happening in the city. And when it happened to a black, they never do the media's never here.
You know, back in 1989, you know, there was a huge divide when you think about the haves and the have-nots, the tale of two cities of sorts.
Most people know why this man is too famous.
In May of 1989, Donald Trump read an ad that ran in all of the major newspapers. In this ad, he basically was saying, bring back the death penalty. Bring back our police. Common citizens were not given the opportunity to make their own judgments. Common citizens were being manipulated and swayed into believing that we were guilty. The simple premise was that if your name was in the paper, if you look like a criminal because of the color of your skin, well, you have to be guilty. So Donald Trump, he was the fire starter, I would say. Because when you think about going to jail for a crime that you didn't commit, 1 day in jail is too long. When we won the lawsuit, his stance was that we pulled off the biggest heist in New York City's history. But to see that he has not changed his position of being a hateful person, to see that he has not changed his position of inciting people, to see that he's still the same person, and in many ways he's perfected his sense of being that #1 inciter. What would this country look like with Donald Trump as being the president? That's a scary thing. That is a very scary thing. What would the world do in response to that? Man, I can't even imagine.
You better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it.
The vicious rape and beating of a 30-year-old investment banker, Trisha Miley, who was jogging in Central Park last night. 5 youths are in custody and are being questioned.
Welcome back. As you see, your son has a lot to say about Donald Trump. And we all do. But he can see the picture much clearer. Because we've dealt with this racism from Donald Trump for decades. Everybody in New York knows about this man. What do you have to say about this? What your son had to say about Donald Trump?
Well, I can tell from what he's saying that he does have a very clear understanding of who Donald Trump is. Because just like the past, when all of this began with us, you have continuation of a tale of two cities. There are people who actually believe Donald Trump. And there are people who actually see things in a different way. And you don't really know why people are pushed to see things one way or the other. Mm-hmm. But the only thing that comes clear out of it is that there's a need in certain people to believe and justify whatever it is that's being said in the media, whatever it is that's being said. And they justify it by doing any number of things. And that does include believing Donald Trump. Because really, Donald Trump is goes back to, oh wow, what was it, slavery time, after slavery time, segregation, and all of that kind of feeling. And I can tell by his supporters and the type of venom that he is putting in the atmosphere that people are eating it up. It's almost like he has allowed those people who were in the closet. Remember years ago we used to talk about people being in the closet. He's allowed the closet door to swing open and you can see it right in your face. Right in your face. It's like staring you down. And you wonder, is it going to roll over you with a Mack truck? Or will you be able to withstand all of this venom that's coming at you? And, you know, because one of the bad things when you look at it and understand the scenario of who is Donald Trump and what is Donald Trump is that just like he took out those ads in all those newspapers, when he talks to people today and he makes these suggestions, it's not like you're saying, well, go out and kill somebody. Go out and do this, go out and do that. You're still, in a way, shielded from your culpability into inciting this type of riotous behavior when it really comes back to you. And when you look at it that way, it really makes you think about how many in our community, many people of color are caught into situations, and a lot of times they're just caught into these situations because they're the wrong color. Whereas if they were a white person, they would be scot-free. You know, we have a dual system. It's continuing to be dual. Even to this day, I don't know if we'll ever be able to get beyond the type of society that we live in. You know, it's like we at a certain point, we made it, we were free. Then we went through a 12-year period where we had rights. And when we signed those agreements in, 1866, 1867, 1868, we became citizens for the first time of the United States of America. And when we became citizens, along with that came our right to vote by just signing that piece of paper.
And the 60s were a repeat of all that.
Right. So it's almost like you're going this way and then you're going back. It's like you're doing the yin and the yang. The
So
yin and the yang.
what is it, Dominique, you're 15 from the youth huddle at NAN. I mean, this you're too young to remember all this, but how does this impress you?
It doesn't impress me at all. My grandmother, she's Southern, so she always tells me stories of when there was segregation in her and her grandmother. And her grandmother used to be a housemaid, and her great-grandmother, she got to actually meet and have a relationship with, used to be a former slave.
Okay.
Now, just seeing all this controversy between America and Donald Trump is kind of upsetting, because you think back to where African American people actually finally got their rights to do different things. But right now, he's bringing back the slavery mentality. He knows, and it's the law, that slavery is against the law. But with him, it's slavery mentality. Putting more people in jail, you lose your citizenship. But for some reason, you're still counted as a citizen when they do the head counts against America. So it's just taking away your citizenship, slavery all over again. So it never was abolished, and probably it never will if he was president.
What's your experience with racism?
Experience with racism, it kind of was in school. I always wanted to be more smarter than everybody else, or try to educate myself, because I know that the teachers will never educate you to the fullest that they can. And my grandma will always tell me that, read everything that you can read, know everything that you can know. And when I was in a all-black, well, not high school, middle school, I would be called, why are you talking white? Why are you talking this?
Really? Today?
Well, I'm in high school now, but
that was just a few years ago.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I just wanted to be educated. I'm just trying to be educated, because I know there's the 1% is white, and I want to be in that 1%, but I'm black. So, yeah.
So you find racism in education?
Racism in education and everything. It never was abolished.
Was that your classmates, were they black or white?
My classmates was mostly white, and it was right across, or a couple blocks down from the projects.
So they wanted to know why you were talking white?
Basically, yeah. Instead of me saying, I just want to be educated, and then they're like, you're black, you're ghetto, and then they have all these stereotypes.
The white kids are saying this to you?
No, the other black kids. So now the mentality that they got from TV, from stars that they look up to, that if you're talking educated or articulating yourself, you're being called Caucasian and white, and saying that's looked down upon, when it should really be looked up upon and actually more expressed.
Well, Graham, they did that back in our day too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
always
everything is cyclical.
It's a slave mentality.
You know, you don't work. One of the things my mother told me, the guys on the corner will be on the corner 20 years from now.
Always on the corner.
So you can travel, go to school, go around the world and learn. The same people will be standing where they were in years past. And they can't. I was the president of my high school. There were 5,000 students. I might be able to locate one guy that I went to high school with, one out of 5,000 people. What can my homies from high school do for me now?
Nothing.
Nothing. You have to chart a course for your life, and everybody has to chart a course for their life. You can't allow people to tell you, you can't do this, you can't. I had that. People told me that in the police department, and I proved them wrong. So you just decide what it is that you want to do, where you want to go. If you wanted to be an astronaut, then you can't learn about that hanging around people on the corner.
Correct.
You have to go to where astronauts are. You have to, if
That's
you
right.
want to be a doctor, you have to get next to somebody that went to medical school.
Yeah.
And let them mentor you and guide you. So whatever it is you want to do in life, you find the people that do that, and you get up under them, and you watch what they do, and you learn, and you ask questions. The people on the corner, they'll be on the corner.
They'll still be on the corner.
They'll still
My
be on the corner.
mom and my grandma says that all the time. She says,
Yeah.
both of them say not to get, what's the word, connected to people and have these close relationships to where you can't live without them. Because 10 years
Right,
from now, they
right.
won't remember your name.
That's right.
It's just of what you was and how did you conduct yourself.
Well, you're fortunate to have guiding parents and
Yeah.
you're just blessed to have that.
Thank you.
But we had a Skype come in from your son, Yusef. I wonder if he's on the line. Have we gotten in contact with Yusef? He said it would Skype in about 5:15. It's 5:16 now. Can we get that together? All right? Let me know as soon as we can get Yusef on the line. All right? But dealing with this election coming up, it's you're not able to vote, but yet
I
you
wish.
have an outlook
The next one.
to
Next
see
one, yeah.
what America's up against. And when he talks about let's make America great again,
It never was great.
no, it's always been great. It's always
Okay.
been great. There's not all this negativity about America. Believe me, it used to be. There was a time when we really had something to complain about.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong in America. This is the greatest place to be in the world. I don't know why anybody doesn't just play the system the way the system is supposed to be played. And that's put it to task. It has a constitution. Make sure it abides by its constitution.
Correct.
This government that's running now is hypocritical of what it preaches. It doesn't practice what it preaches.
Right.
So if you get your education, you follow the rules, particularly the way they're written, and you do the right thing, things will happen. We talked about Michelle Obama.
Yes.
I gave you the tape of her.
Yeah.
And tell me what you thought about that.
What I thought about it was that actually needed to be said. On different campaign runs, for them, they just write up a speech, and it's never really emotional. It never connects to how America's viewed or what the campaign is actually about. For her exposing and showing so much deep feeling on what has been going on with the campaign, I thought was very needed. And it showed more of, it's not just a vote, it's your vote matters, and everyone needs to vote.
Was that inspirational?
It was. It was.
What did your mother think about it? Did you
My
get a chance
grandma,
to play your mother?
She got mad because I saw it without her, and I said I needed to go to sleep, so I needed to read. I mean, not read it, look at it first, but I know she's going to take my computer and read it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look at it, yeah.
Your mother's of our era, and she's a sweetheart. And
Yeah,
you're
she
lucky
is.
to have such a great person as
Thank
a
you.
grandmother.
You know, it's interesting when Michelle was speaking at one of the colleges recently, the students were yelling 4 more years.
Yes, right.
4 more years.
For Barack
Michelle.
Obama, they were yelling. And for Michelle, you know, and people are asking, you know, is she going to run for president?
She doesn't want to get involved.
Oh, no.
I
She
wish
said
she
no.
did, but
She would.
no.
She said no, you know, but if she were to run, this place would go crazy.
Right.
You know, but also look at the way they're dealing. Well, I want to come back to you, Mr. Salaam, because we know what your son went through, but you went through it with him.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Listening to Yusef speak, although he's a ghetto child from, well, this is the term,
Well,
ghetto
Quote
child,
unquote.
On 10th Street.
you know,
In those days.
from Harlem. He doesn't speak ghetto.
Yeah.
And that's because of you. That's because of who you are. Now, you campaigned and ran an agenda for your son for more than a decade, speaking, going and doing. What were you doing before all of this calamity came into your life? I
School
don't think
teacher.
people know.
You're a school
Well,
teacher.
I was living my life, and this happened. I was teaching at the time when
Right.
this particular situation happened. And actually, it caught me by surprise, like it would have done anyone in this type of situation. You would have been caught by surprise, because it's something that you never expect. You never expect. And it threw me for a loop there for a minute. But like all mothers, after you come out of the loop, you get up and you try to do what you can, you know?
Yusef had never been in any trouble with the law or anything like that growing up?
No, no. But you see, when you're sitting around and you're in these types of situations, oftentimes people say, well, was he in trouble with the law before? And they use this as an excuse to vilify you if you have been in trouble with the law. So it makes me suspicious when I hear words like that, because I know what's coming next. He got a long rap sheet.
Yeah.
So is his rap sheet long enough that we should just throw him off the bus? Or should we move to the next stage? You know, everybody is always something in someone's life, somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, you spit on the sidewalk, you jaywalked across the street, or whatever it is you did. But the question is, are you guilty of this particular crime?
Thank you.
And that's what it comes down to for me. No matter what you've done in the past or what you will do in the future, is are you guilty of this? And if you're not guilty of this, then it's irrelevant what the past was or was not. My son had just turned 15. He was a nice, sweet little boy, as I thought, being his mother. And he was dutiful, and most of the time he minded what I told him to do. And we were living our lives as best as we could. Okay, he went to school, I went to work, the other kids went to school, I still went to work. We lived in an apartment, everybody had clothes, we ate every day. I remember one thing that they had said to me when I was going to visit Yusef in one of the prisons, and one of the people said, well, gee, they looked over and they saw me. Yusef wasn't quite down yet for the visit, and they said, he's in this nice place, he shouldn't even be here. These people get 3 squares a day and nice uniforms, you know. And I thought back at my son, and I said, my son was always a sharp dresser. He ate 5 times a day. You said bedtime, he got hungry. Now he's been reduced to eating 3 times a day and wearing a uniform and unable to shine his shoes. It's like a whole new person.
Right.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump would say, what is he doing in the park that night?
He's doing what other people doing in the park that night. Playing in the park. And really, that is nothing to really jump overboard about, because there were hundreds and thousands of people in the park that night. He wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
But when you look for someone and you have like a focus that you cannot change, you just set on this certain group. You're not really looking for justice, you're not really looking to solve the case, you're just looking to get someone, and you try to get the closest person you can, the quickest person you can, to let the society know that it has been taken care of. This is why today, when people start talking about they arrested this person, and then while he was being interrogated, he decided to tell them about other crimes, it makes you wonder, do they have the right person?
Right.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Do they really, or is this just another case, like Yusef's case, where they were just trying to get the case done so that society would know that this stuff has been answered.
Well, Yusef was the only one that didn't give a confession, too.
Yeah, Yusef, he did not give a videotaped confession, and the other information that they were able to extract from him was not much.
And he didn't know any of the other kids, did he?
Well, he knew one of the boys, because he knew Corey Wise. That was his friend.
That's right.
Corey was his friend. Used to come to my house. They used to play and make medallions sitting there right in the house. They were entrepreneurs. Corey was a barber, and Yusef was a barber. They was cutting people's hair in the building.
Oh,
So
okay.
these are not the kind of
Oh, they
people
lived in
you
the same building. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
these are not the kind of people, you know, you're getting money from cutting hair, and now you're going to go and take somebody else's money.
But that was a Class A building there, 110th Street and Fifth Avenue. You know, you were on Fifth Avenue, right?
Well,
In
it's
Harlem.
a lot of people on Fifth Avenue.
I mean,
in
you
Harlem.
know what I mean.
I like Fifth Avenue.
You know?
You were on the Fifth Avenue building in
Yeah,
Harlem.
maybe. I think some people look at it as being classy. But
Well,
see, I'm from the South. One building is just as good as the next. You know, as long as you got hot and cold running water, you got food on the table, you got a bed to sleep in.
And you had a nice view, too.
Well, I did have somewhat of a nice view,
Right.
you know, if that means stuff to you. So it all depends.
Well, nowadays, that same apartment probably go for, what, who knows what kind of money.
Oh, it's
Is
high.
it co-op now? Is it
No, it's not co-op, straight up rental.
straight up rental?
Straight up. So when you come straight.
Okay.
If you cricket, you won't get in.
My brother actually is incarcerated.
Okay.
His name's Gerard Johnson.
Is that right?
Yeah. Mayor, not Mayor de Blasio, Mayor Bloomberg kind of was like the Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was for a hate crime against a transsexual person.
Okay.
So I kind of understand the whole correctional facility and all that. And whew,
How long
I
have
don't
you been in there?
for like 10 or 11 years right now.
Oh, really?
He gets out. He went there when he was 16 to Rikers, and then I teach myself law because everything that I do for somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching kind of myself law with these law books, which I don't
Good.
even know
Good
what
for
I'm
you.
doing, but I'm
Yeah,
trying.
good for you.
And I'm just going back to his case and kind of like seeing some of the things that was illegal, and it's just it's so corrupted. This correctional facility, this government is all corrupted. It's just for who's who and what color are you, basically.
And see, and the main thing is when they get people, one of the reasons why they don't do that much investigation, and I'm not saying that some of the people they have behind bars are really guilty.
Belong back.
You know, some of them are guilty, and some of them obviously are not. But there's so much pressure on the police to solve the crime that oftentimes I think they jump hoops just so that it's taken care of. You know,
Yeah.
it's almost like that perception.
Like in your case, the Central Park Drive
it's like that perception. If you look at Stalin, and he would used to say that a crime occurred, and they would just go and get anyone. Now the reason they would go and get anyone is because they had to show society that somebody had paid the price.
I think we got your son on the...
Oh, he's in the car.
Can we see him?
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey,
Hi.
Yusef.
Hi.
All right.
Are you able to see me or?
No, we
Can we
can't.
get him on the monitor?
We can
I
hear
can't
you
see
though.
you yet, but you sound good.
See,
Oh, we got you now.
okay, great. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Put it up big. Enlarge it.
Oh, say that again?
No, we're trying to get you big enough so we see on the
Full
screen.
screen.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
On the far right. The other side. Yeah, right there.
There you go.
There you go.
You're good.
Hey,
That's a nice looking black man.
hey. we just ran a tape of you and Trump, and we're talking about, you know, this your case, and we wanted everybody to see what a grown man can do with, you know, adversity.
Yes.
You
Yes,
know,
indeed.
and this same villain is out here protracting to bring us back to those days. I guess those were the good old days for Donald Trump.
Well, you know, not only was it the good old days for Donald Trump, but if you really analyze the dialogue, and I'm glad my mom is there because, you know, I always tell people that my mother would say that she was from the Jim Crow South, you know.
Right.
That kind of history wasn't something that you would learn living in New York City the way we were in terms of we were growing up. But, you know, my mom kind of reminding us about that allowed me to research about. Sorry about that. I'm getting ready for another screening of the Central Park 5 here.
Oh, great.
In the Morehouse, Clark, Atlanta area with the NAACP as well.
Morehouse.
So they're testing the audio and making sure everything is good. But it's indicative of not only the slave codes once again. It's indicative of the KKK. And I say that because when you look at the historical references of Bring Back the Police, he was saying that same thing back in 1989.
Right.
He was calling for the death penalty to be reinstated for the Central Park 5.
Right.
And really, it wasn't just about the death penalty for the Central Park 5, but it was also a death call to the parents, to the siblings, to anybody connected with us. They have posted our names, our phone numbers, and our addresses in New York City's newspaper.
Oh, did they? They did that?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Isn't that
when
illegal?
you think about
Shouldn't that be illegal?
That's illegal.
Only if
That's
you're
illegal.
white.
Well, it's illegal
Only-
in the context of the white kind of thing,
Yeah, you just said that.
But in the context of them looking at, I think they're trying to find me another room to go into for a minute, just so that I can have a little privacy. But if we look at it in the context of, this right here, and by this I mean the color of the skin, the true crime that we committed was that we were black and we were brown. And that's what we should have been indicted for. And in the Constitution,
the signal.
we still live under a document that states very clearly that they can revert you back to a state of slavery, according to the 13th Amendment, if you get that as a punishment of a crime, And I submit that the only people that word slave vibrates with are people of color. Anybody else could read that document and they could read it and they could be like, oh yeah, okay, we reverted back to a state of slavery. But when you talk about the history of the black and brown person in America and the fact that, overwhelmingly they still want us to forget, but they don't want us to ever forget the things that have happened to them, but they want us to forget about stuff that happened to us. In a similar way, they want probably the Central Park 5 to, just move on with their lives and forget about all of the hell that we were put through. This atrocious nature of this presidential campaign right now, who in many ways has become a sexual predator himself by his own mouth. He's admitted that himself.
That's right.
Forget the fact about all of the other shady dealings, but here is a man who, at the age of 60, and of course I'm
70.
rounding up.
He's
Well,
70.
No, I'm rounding up.
Okay.
He said those words at 59.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm saying he was already himself, his full self.
Right, right.
You see, he didn't slip up as he's trying to make it seem that he had it was just locker room banter, or as I was telling some folks last week, I said, in the black community, we would say, we was kicking the Willy Bobo or something like that. He didn't slip up in that way. He wasn't, 12, 13, 15, 20, 30 years old. This was a grown man, and in many respects, maybe a grandfather, know? So for him to kind of chalk that up now because of what this campaign means, and it's true to form. And I want people to realize the true to form part that I'm trying to get at. And what it means is that people are so enamored by Donald Trump that if you look at video footage going past and you look in the audience and watch the people's reaction, they are so enamored by him. I mean, when he said that I can walk out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I won't lose any supporters, you can look at the audience as a litmus test to whether that's true or not. Many of his supporters are chalking up his latest comments as exactly what he said. Oh yeah, he said it was locker room banter. No, he was talking about a certain affluenza that people with the concussion for protection move around with, in that they can do anything and everything they want to because they're white. And see, when you look at a person who is like Donald Trump, who's not only a white person but also a male, now we have a recipe for disaster.
And a billionaire.
No, he's not really
and
a billionaire.
So
we don't know
he
that.
doesn't really
We
have
don't know
$1
that
billion.
because
Well,
his taxes have
everybody
not been
else thinks he's a
disclosed.
billionaire. All right.
But Yusef, you're down in Atlanta right now.
Yes.
And you're imparting to our youth, I'm sure, what America really is.
Yeah.
You're in the home of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yes, indeed.
I remember my first trip to Atlanta many years ago. I was trying to find a house, and I inquired of a white man who I think might have been the last white man living in that neighborhood. And I was in a new car, and he looked at me, and he looked at my car and everything, and reluctantly he told me which way to go to get to Auburn Street.
Yes.
You know, but your being there with the young folks, and I got some young men that I know that are studying there at Morehouse. It's important that you burn it in their minds that not much has changed except the date on the calendar.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true. You know, even though they want people to think that things have changed, what I say all the time is that, you know, racism is alive and well. And unfortunately, Elizabeth Lederer, and I'm just going to just throw a name out there to make a point. Elizabeth Lederer was the assistant district attorney in our case. She was a demon in our case. And she began to work for Columbia University in their law department as an adjunct professor. The film, The Central Park 5, came out, which the audience has seen, and if they haven't, I encourage them to see it. It's on pbs.org, and it's going to be showing for free up until maybe just after the presidential campaign and elections happen. The students at Columbia University started a petition. They wanted Columbia to fire her because their stance was, if she did this to them, what kind of law is she teaching us?
Right.
We don't need her to be in this position for us. We want the university to fire her. So the university, what they did is they did what they call institutional protectionism. So if you go to their website, just prior to this happening, you went on the website and it said Elizabeth Lederer gave a nice bio and all of the accolades, and the cherry on top was that it said, and she litigated the Central Park jogger case. When you go to the website now and you search for her bio, it completely is whitewashed and removed. That bit of history is gone. Somebody tweeted me right after that, and they said, you got to look at this website called thewayback.com. And on the website, it shows the history of people's websites that they created. So if you wanted to go, say, look at Lenny Kravitz's website from 1990 or something like that, he had a website at the time, you'll be able to find it, you know. And they showed the website just before the Central Park 5 film came out and just after the students began to protest side by side. And it was clear that the institution had no interest in firing Elizabeth Lederer. They were protecting her and making it okay. And in many ways, one of the things that I need the listening audience to understand in terms of the importance of our vote, when we think about a person like Donald Trump, we, in many ways, if we accept this person and put him into office, everything that he has said and all of the things that he has done and admitted to out of his own mouth, we are saying to our children that this is okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brother, I mean, you said it. You said it, man.
We need to like our vote needs to be so unified in making sure we hashtag dump Trump that our children's children will be proud of the actions that their parents and their families and their siblings have made in this election.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Well said.
I hope so.
You are leaving
And
a
for
legacy.
those people who are confused, especially the women, when you go in to vote,
Right?
and you're there getting ready to fill out your ballot, and you're trying to decide Trump or Clinton or whoever it is you're going to vote for, am I going to write somebody in? Just grab your pussy. And
You didn't say that.
Grab it and vote. And I'm sure once you do that, sanity will come to your head.
It'll come back real quick. You know,
Yes.
it really should put people's whole thought process in a different space. I mean, we are in one of the most vilest times.
Yeah.
Many people equate our time to be similar to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and when we have a person like this, man, you know, I want to share something with you all. I have to go very shortly, but I want to share this poem that I wrote. That's soon going to be. I'm actually going to be publishing my poems very shortly, and it's going to be available to the public for purchase.
Okay.
So this is a poem that I've never put out there in public, but I want people to hear it because it talks about the they and the them and how we understand, how we need to understand this confusing language that they have out there, right? This is called them. Racists aim at blacks to take them down the road with nooses, hang them. I cross downtown streets to shake them like I'm on the court, pump fake them. Abusers of the rules all day them. Complexion for protection, they them. Plan annihilation, slay them. Silent screams of hatred, they them. Kill them all today, who us, them. Place no tag on toe to nerve them. Potters filled with holes we destined. Awaken us today, who us, them. Reconstruct our play, we know them. Now from checkers, chess, we play them. Mastering the game, we made them. Bopping from the whip, we slay them. And just one last thing I want to share is something that Maya Angelou said, and it sounds like she was having a conversation with Nelson Mandela. And I say that because she's talking about anger and bitterness and what happens when you hold on to it. And Dr. Maya Angelou says, you should be angry, but you must not be bitter. Bitterness is like cancer. It eats upon the host.
Hey.
So it eats upon the host. It doesn't do anything to the object of its displeasure. And this is the important part that I want everybody to hear. So use that anger. You write it. You paint it. You dance it. You march it. You vote it. You do everything about it. You talk it. Never stop talking about it. And I'd like to thank you for having me on your show. I would definitely love to come back at a very near date in the future to continue.
After Hillary wins the election.
Yes, I was just going to suggest that. we can.
All right.
We can have like a Monday night football session.
That's right. That's right. God bless you, my brother.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate
Good seeing you. Good seeing you.
I'll see you shortly.
Hey.
All right, thanks.
All right.
You've got to be so proud.
Oh, man.
Yes,
So
yes.
proud.
You see, he let me do the vulgar talk.
Oh, you came in on cue. Oh, my goodness. I might have suggested you saying something like that, but I didn't think you would.
But can you imagine if you think of all the
That's
things that
it.
he has
come
said
on.
that he's going to do? And I can't
And
understand
he's
why
running
when
for
these
president.
people hear him saying that, all that stuff, and he really has no plan.
But see, these people
He's
who are
just
voting
talking.
for him,
But
Just
you're
to be
desperate.
talking.
You're desperate.
these people that are voting for him are actually those kind of people.
Yes,
Yeah,
but they're
it's
desperate.
exploding racism.
They are desperate. They
The
are
Klan
poor
newspaper,
people.
the
They're
Klan
poor
newspaper
people.
just endorsed
And,
him.
you know, it was one thing I heard, I don't remember who said this, but it was a white woman, and she said to this audience of white people, and she said, which one of you want to be black? Raise your hand.
And none of them raised their
And none
hand.
of them raised their hand because no one wants to be subjected to the type of thing black people have been subjected
Yeah.
to. They have all been taught that to be white was
Is a
to be
privilege.
above those people beneath them.
Right.
White privilege.
And this is how the Ku Klux Klan and all those types of groups flourish. Because you give them something, as poor as they are, many of them don't have education. Many of them really believe that what did Trump say? He's going to bring the those jobs back, those low-paying jobs back.
No.
And the reality is those jobs are never, ever coming back to
Not
the
at all.
United States. But
Yeah.
none of them are demanding a conversation around what jobs are available here that we can train our children to be.
Hey.
For instance, STEM cells
Yeah.
and all types
That's
of
right.
jobs that's going to be paying them some money.
Yeah.
They're not talking about that. They're talking about bringing the manufacturing jobs back. They're not taking Donald Trump to tax for all the
They
manufacturing
don't know any
jobs
better.
that he has in China and Taiwan, those people making his ties, making their suits, making all kind of stuff
For less than $1 a day.
for them. You see what I'm saying? So maybe he will bring them back, but it's not going to be to the general public, because if you partner with the prison industrial complex, you can still get the same kind of
Same
salary.
labor for
but when
$1 a
you
day,
working
less
in
than that.
Taiwan, and it can say made
That's what
in
they're doing.
America.
35 cents a
That's what they're
day.
doing. All right,
Yeah.
you know what we're gonna have? Have a word from my girl.
Which girl is that?
Michelle.
You got to check it out now. Because after I heard about Trump, he got a lot of them girls.
First lady. First lady. The first lady. All right.
In this election, we have a candidate for president of the United States who, over the course of his lifetime, in the course of this campaign, has said things about women that are so shocking, so demeaning, that I simply will not repeat anything here today. And last week, we saw this candidate actually bragging about sexually assaulting women. And I can't believe that I'm saying that a candidate for president of the United States has bragged about sexually assaulting women. And I have to tell you that I can't stop thinking about this. It has shaken me to my core in a way that I couldn't have predicted. So while I'd love nothing more than to pretend like this isn't happening and to come out here and do my normal campaign speech, it would be dishonest and disingenuous to me to just move on to the next thing like this was all just a bad dream. This is not something that we can ignore. It's not something we can just sweep under the rug as just another disturbing footnote in a sad election season. Because this was not just a lewd conversation. This wasn't just locker room banter. This was a powerful individual speaking freely and openly about sexually predatory behavior, and actually bragging about kissing and groping women, using language so obscene that many of us were worried about our children hearing it when we turn on the TV. And to make matters worse, it now seems very clear that this isn't an isolated incident. It's one of countless examples of how he has treated women his whole life. And I have to tell you that I listen to all of this, and I feel it so personally. And I'm sure that many of you do too, particularly the women. The shameful comments about our bodies, the disrespect of our ambitions and intellect, the belief that you can do anything you want to a woman. It is cruel. It's frightening. And the truth is, it hurts. It hurts. It's like that sick, sinking feeling you get when you're walking down the street, minding your own business, and some guy yells out vulgar words about your body. Or when you see that guy at work that stands just a little too close, stares a little too long, and makes you feel uncomfortable in your own skin. It's that feeling of terror and violation that too many women have felt when someone has grabbed them or forced himself on them and they've said no, but he didn't listen. Something that we know happens on college campuses and countless other places every single day. It reminds us of stories we've heard from our mothers and grandmothers about how back in their day, the boss could say and do whatever he pleased to the women in the office, and even though they worked so hard, jumped over every hurdle to prove themselves, it was never enough. We thought all of that was ancient history, didn't we? And so many have worked for so many years to end this kind of violence and abuse and disrespect, but here we are in 2016, and we're hearing these exact same things every day on the campaign trail. We are drowning in it. And all of us are doing what women have always done. We're trying to keep our heads above water, just trying to get through it, trying to pretend like this doesn't really bother us. Maybe because we think that admitting how much it hurts makes us as women look weak. Maybe we're afraid to be that vulnerable. Maybe we've grown accustomed to swallowing these emotions and staying quiet because we've seen that people often won't take our word over his. Or maybe we don't want to believe that there are still people out there who think so little of us as women. Too many are treating this as just another day's headline, as if our outrage is overblown or unwarranted, as if this is normal, just politics as usual. But New Hampshire, yeah, be clear. This is not normal. This is not politics as usual.
I mean, the first time I watched that, I mean, I see that as my daughter or something. I mean, you know, that's the epitome of a black woman, you know, and all that she speaks of is what she personally experienced. I mean, you can see and feel that.
Yeah.
And as a young woman, I mean, how do you relate to this?
There has been, well, I wouldn't say several that would be used out of context, but a couple of times of where a woman body is just looked at as a sexual orientation rather than what's in her brain. Right. How does she think? Is she educated rather than what size is she? Is she a number 2? Is she number 10? Is she thick? And that's where I kind of think that Donald Trump kind of exploited this while your son was talking, Yusef, and while she was talking, locker room conversation, that shouldn't even be thought in a human's head. That shouldn't even be the locker room conversation. It should be that's just the wrong mentality to have. I think education is more important than an actual body or a sexual orientation or anything of the sort. Yeah. So it kind of makes me uncomfortable.
You remember the day when men kept women barefoot and pregnant?
No, I don't remember that day.
You could get yourself knocked out in here.
I mean, not you in particular, but I mean, going back to our day.
I might have read about those things, but no.
She's not claiming to be your age, Winston.
No.
No, not at all. You know,
no, but there were some times.
You know, the simple fact that 53% of the voting populace is female.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet there are women that are voting for this man.
That makes no sense.
It tells you about the mindset of the people. 53% of the electorate is female. Right. Florida is now reporting 28% of the Republican women have voted against Donald Trump and voted for Hillary Clinton.
It should be 100%.
It doesn't say women. They said 28%.
28% of the Republicans have now moved over to vote for Hillary Clinton. He's a very acrimonious individual, and that I wish we could have played the piece that you had on the phone with that song. But when we come back here next week, it's going to be a new day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it'll be a post-apocalyptic period, because the very notion for me that this guy could have run for president, I didn't think he would get to where he got.
No,
No,
nobody
well,
did.
that's
Nobody
only
did.
because you weren't living in America. I've been here a long time.
But, you know,
I
some
knew
of the
he could get
others,
there.
Did you really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, did you
because
really?
people are in denial
True,
about the
that's true.
level of racism, hatred, and discomfort that's inside of the people. What Donald Trump did, he made it acceptable to open the door and come out.
Well,
no, it's not even that
he
he's
was telling
truthful.
the truth.
He was
what
a
people
racist.
wanted to say, he was saying
He
what they
said,
wanted to
yeah,
say.
and he's never experienced any of this stuff. So it can't be that he's truthful.
But usually
he might have talked to
racism-
somebody and he's using, he knows how to use people and to manipulate their thoughts for his own benefit.
There's also an investigation into his connections with the Russians.
Yay.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah,
FBI
he's
now has
getting him
information
everywhere.
to investigate even the fact that he has not shown his tax returns.
There you go.
What is the connection financially between himself, Putin, and these other Russian
And
monsters?
other medias are finding connections. They're tracking the money, and they have tracked it to the the pageants that he's having over in Russia, the various buildings that are for sale in the apartments in Russia, and the buildings that are
Well,
sale
you
up
know,
here that he's selling to the Russians. They're tracking him in a number of different ways.
A lot of
he's
people-
also being sued for the
The
for
school.
The Trump University.
the Trump University, the possible raping of these two women, and one woman in particular, the 14-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
And now a 13-year-old has come forward
You
and
might,
said that
you
it
might
happened
mention out in Coney Island, where you got the Russian mafia.
The Russian mafia, yeah.
And I think he's hooked up with
Brighton
the Russian
Beach,
mafia.
down in Brighton
Well, I
Who
don't
are the
know
most
him that close.
ruthless gangsters on the planet.
Yeah, well, Trump
All I know is-
Village is down in that area. in
That's
Brooklyn.
what I'm saying.
Well, all I know about
And if you're in
Trump,
construction, you got to be in the mafia.
yeah, 'cause one of the things we all
associate.
know, and
All right,
Trump
we
has
have
said
45
that he is
seconds left.
German, and he's proud of his
Well,
German
you're
blood.
going to have to come back.
And so when you're that proud of your German blood,
Hey,
and you got a whole bunch of people who want to be German too,
amen.
who want to have a fine
Back
wife
to the
and know
good
they
old
can't
days.
afford her,
Oh my God.
and they're looking at you and
All
say,
right.
hey, let's get next to
Concentration
this rich
camp.
guy.
Well, that's his third
All right,
wife.
thank you for coming.
His
And
third.
as
All of them look
usual,
good,
we're
too.
running out of